which is estimated about $171 billion in 1970, and by 2010 it had grown to 4.2 trillion, which is shows the increase of the global trade in chemicals. And the recent data shows that this value is higher than $5 trillion. So if we take that, chemicals are integral part of our life, so we have to think about the integrated and sound management of chemicals, especially in their life cycle. So this is a solution for continuing using the chemical that is important for our life. Now, when we come to the background of persistent organic pollutant and the Stockholm Convention, these persistent organic pollutants are chemical substances that are recognized for a series of global threats to the human health and ecosystem. There is, considering the impact of the impact of persistent organic pollutant, and thanks to the 1972 United Nations Conference on the Environment in Stockholm, and consequent discussions on the impact of chemicals and hazardous waste, the birth of the Stockholm Convention happened in 2001 in Stockholm. So then, after 3 years, it comes to an effect. Ethiopia ratified this instrument on July 12, 2002. So the very beginning, or the objective of the Stockholm Convention is to protect human health and environment from the effect of persistent organic pollutants. So why we are concerned about persistent organic pollutants? We have many reasons, scientific reasons why we are concerned about the global community, especially for us. I'll take you through two basic studies in Ethiopia. One is associated with the knowledge, attitude, and practice of farmers and farm working who are using pesticide for the increase of productivity. So this study shows that 85% of the workers did not attain any training related to pesticide management. The other thing on the same research shows that 62% of the farmers or farm workers did not know after a work. This shows a direct exposure of chemicals to our farmers and farm workers. So given that the fact that persistent organic pollutants they are persistent, bioaccumulative, they are long-range transport and adverse effect for human health and environment, we have additional reasons depending upon the level we are. The same research, another research in the same area showed that the food we are bringing from the farmers, especially those who are using pesticide for productivity increase, in the food. That it is substantially elevated from the tolerance level in the adverse effect of the persistent pollutant. We have additional reasons to focus on pollutant released to the environment. So when we come to the national implementation plan, it is a required tool for countries, for parties for the Stockholm Convention. It's a required tool to assess the internal capacity in the management of persistent organic pollutant. It's also a communication tool, which parties are communicate their obligation through Article 7 of the Convention. So the National Implementation Plan is not a standalone plan. It is an integrated plan to the National Development Plan. So when countries or parties are working with the National Implementation Plan in the reduction of persistent organic pollutant, they are working all with this sustainable development goals. So by one way or another, working on the National Implementation Plan for the reduction of persistent organic pollutant, it's associated with the cleaning of water and those sustainable development goals. So now I will take you through the first initial list of persistent organic pollutant. These are the initial 12 costs, the first group of costs. Both the policymakers and scientists agreed to eliminate and reduce, as well as restrict their use to minimize the adverse effect of persistent organic pollutant. It starts from aldrin, DDT, dieldrin. Those are the chemicals. The majority of this, among 12 persistent organic pollutants, the majority of them are pesticides. Then we do have also industrial chemical. There are also other chemicals which is came out as a byproduct of the manufacturing process. The second group that from 2009 to 2011, 60 groups of chemicals, the majority of them are Annex A chemicals, which is used in industrial process, and 6 of them are pesticides. And here are also, we have chemicals from the byproduct. So these are group of chemicals the for of release the Secretariat of the Multilateral Fund. So 2006, we have identified about 2,500 PCB containing PCB oil containing transformers. We have also identified uncontrolled domestic waste and forest burning as a potential source of dioxin and furan. We have also identified about 40,650 kg of total of Annex A chemical. This is the 2006 National Implementation Plan, which is developed before like 30 years. So after the identification of persistent organic pollution, the second need, the update in 2017 has also identified about 1.3 million kg of DDT, 948 grams of the equivalent of annual release of dioxin and furan. PCB also is the remaining challenge in the second need. There are also emerging and newly list of chemicals associated with persistent organic pollutants, such as PFOS and PPD are among the list which is found in Ethiopia. So what are the efforts we made to reduce? So to reduce the impact. So ops and reduce, eliminate the chemicals to reduce or eliminate the chemicals used and released to the environment, as well as assisting with disposal, requires a responsive legal instrument and institution. So the first effort that we made is to develop institutional arrangement and legal instrument which deal with responsive actions about the elimination and reduction of persistent organic. These are the list of legal instruments. And finally, EPA, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Industries are among key government organizations who are dealing on the management of persistent organic pollutants. Then, as you see from the picture, the deep black, it shows that the obsolete pesticide accumulation while doing the African stockpile project for 12 years. So this is one of the major steps, and the deep black on the map shows that countries which have more than 1,000 tons of persistent organic pollutant which is accumulated in their country. So Ethiopia has one of the beneficiaries from this program, and we have disposed about 3,000, more than 3,000 tons of persistent organic pollutant, including highly hazardous pesticides. This is also another effort. It's an ongoing effort to reduce the impact of chemicals, persistent organic pollutant. Currently, we are doing a safeguarding of DDT at Adamitulu. So we have trained experts who are working on this, and we are taking care of the activities related with the management of DDT. This is also another effort which are working with UNDP, PCB management of Ethiopia to meet 2025 of the Stockholm Convention deadline of phase 1. So PCB containing transformers are stored. We are doing a project to dispose certain amount of PCB oil to make Ethiopia to meet the first deadline of 2025. This the first picture shows the accumulation of electric waste, which is collected from different government office. So currently we came up with a solution of a licensing system to private sectors to engage in. This is has potentially two impact. One is creating of jobs from the sector, and at the same time recycling and reducing PBD, ultimately to reduce the impact or the release of persistent organic pollutant to the environment. So what are the lessons? While doing these activities, we try to put the lesson in 3 areas. It's possible. One is we learned that it's possible to phase out of the production, import, use of stockpile of waste to reduce the release and accumulation of crops in every area. So we develop experience, got knowledge through multi-stakeholder dialogues, and try to integrate chemical and waste management into the national plan. This is the second lesson that we have learned. There is also a big lesson. Even we need to work further on it. So a failure to phase out highly hazardous pesticide, including persistent organic pollutant, especially in low and middle income countries. It is long and tedious process. So working on the registration and the management of life cycle is better than disposal. This is the major lesson that we have learned from our experience. So last but not least, when we come to the way forward, which is one is we need to strengthen the chemical and waste management through the strengthening legal and institutional framework is be part of our focus area. So to deal with chemicals, to continue to use the benefit of chemicals, we have to focus on the management. So we need to strengthen this chemical and waste management through its life cycle. This is one recommendation that we have. The second, increase finance and technology with improved and sustainable mechanism is another area that we recommend and work on it. So the third, strengthening human capacity, especially laboratory testing and analysis, risk identification, monitoring should be our focus area. So with this, I came to the end of my presentation, and we have some discussion point which will be circulated during the breakout. I sincerely thank you for your kind attention, and also I ask apologies for what happened for the. Thank you so much. Thank you.